What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pipe Dreams Customs. Hey, today we're actually going to be playing with the Virago and the motor that's still in it. So today, we're going to be cranking on that boy. Based off of some of the information that I've received from doing some research, I was talking to Lorant over on the Midland Cruiser channel and getting a lot of backstory on kind of what happens with the oil starvation in these motors. And he was actually giving me some tips based off the teardown video and some things to use or tips to look at toward fixing this. Let's check it out. I figured I'd start out by giving you guys a proper walk around of where we are right here on the Virago. So this right here is my wife's 1997 Yamaha Virago. We got it because the motor that we've been doing the teardown videos on was locked up. We got this off of a parts bike and I did the same thing to it. So we got stuff that's hanging off. I still got to find brackets for everything. I got a lot of parts in a bucket. This right here, I need to make a plate that covers all the electronics. It comes up here. Does a nice look and something I can mount the springs for this guy on. But for right now, we just got it sitting on the fender. I need to seal off the air box because that right there is where a plate goes. It says like 1100 or something like that on it. But since having done the damage to this, I ended up just kind of kicking it in the corner. And I'm excited about trying to get it back together because it is a super fun ride. So one of the things that Lorant had mentioned was right here on these passages where it feeds oil to the top of the cylinder head. Sometimes it'll actually either get clogged up or something like that and cause starvation issues. He said, hey, the shear off on that cam was probably caused from oil starvation. So one of the things that Lorant did was upgraded this right here, this bearing for the cam. And instead of having, ooh, baby, don't fall off. Instead of having this solid block style bearing, he ended up replacing it with a roller style ball bearing. And that's actually something I'd like to do to this motor to make it a lot more dependable. It actually doesn't look that bad after diving into it a little bit. See if I can get some light in there. There's not scoring or anything like that in it. The cam itself looks really good. So I'm just going to carefully slide that back on there to store it. Doesn't seem that be that bad. One of the biggest things I want to emphasize on is this is a big learning process for me. That gentleman knows a lot of stuff and he shares a lot of information. Y'all go check out his channel. He supports other YouTubers that are in the same genre niche, and make sure to subscribe and start following his stuff because I mean he is on point with the information. Right here, I'm just the sloppy guy of the group. I'm, you know, taking impact to everything and see if it'll work. So here's the bolt. It's got a little hole through the center so that way oil can bleed through. And it's got a hole in the top that comes from the crankcase. So from that, I don't really see anything that is going to cause it to starve. It may be something in these lines, but from here I say let's go dive into the motor that's sitting on the bike and see what we can find out from there. How often does that ever happen? Hear that? It doesn't sound good. That one's moving freely. Got some light scoring in it. Definitely not happy motor oil. If I can get it to focus, I'll show you the scoring. There it is. See a little line right in here? Some light scoring. Nothing all the way off the rails. On there. Good grief. Pin came out. There it goes. There's a lot of friction here that there wasn't in the other one. Similar scoring. Like this old boy's got a harder clunk than the other one did. Might actually be something internal. Well, it's looking like that's about as much as we're going to be able to get done on this today. But one thing I noticed was on the front cam, it actually has the number 2 on it, which I found odd. Because I would assume that the rear cylinder would be number 2. And that the rear cam had number 1. So I'm wondering if somebody got those backwards, or if that's the way it's supposed to be. But one thing that's for certain is that they do have these like block style bearings, if you will, bushings. And one thing when we get this thing back together that I'd like to do is go ahead and put those roller bearings in this bad boy. Because I want something that's going to be a lot more dependable. I'm looking for a rag. So I'm wanting something that's going to be dependable. It's not going to starve the engine of oil. If you guys heard that loud clunk when I was playing with the first cam, that sounds like bigger problems. When my buddy was riding on that old motor, he ended up saying that he was ripping on it and it just kind of stopped running. Which, talking to Lorant, it does look like right where that cam sheared off, that was caused by oil starvation. Which is good because it looks like these 2 cams are actually in good condition. So what I'm hoping to do is actually take those and at least use them to build one good motor, which is why I like the idea of having a parts motor around, because this one, that was a hard thud. That sounded like the piston was hitting something. I think we're looking more at having to drop this bad boy out of the bike and tear into it to see what happened. But what we might end up doing is putting all new seals and everything in the parts motor and throwing it back in the bike, giving it another chance at life. And then tearing that one down and figuring out why it's knocking so hard. So that's going to do it for today. You guys support YouTube channels and content creators that support other content creators. Go check out Midland Cruiser. My man Lorant over there just giving you the straight facts. We're over here doing it sloppy, but I'm also trying to entertain you guys at the same time. Maybe teach you a little something, maybe damage something so that way you don't. But I think it's going to get dirty. We're going to have to get nasty with it before it's going to get better. But I look forward to this thing being back out on the road. It is such a fun ride. Make sure to like and subscribe. And the link to Lawrence's channel is going to be down in the description. We'll see you next time.